Today, and this is going on now for many, many years, schooling system is very developed. There are schools for every child. Every child is given the opportunity to be able to study in the school of their choice. That was not always the case. Even within Jewish schooling, within teaching of Torah. Although Torah teaching is going back all the way from Moshe Rabbeinu. Rabbeinu, our teacher, he was teaching us Torah. But the Gemara tells the following reality, the following fact. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav. Rav Yehuda says in the name of Rav, Baram Zachar Oisa Ish Letoiv. Truly, there's one particular individual should be remembered for good. And his name is Yeshua ben Gamla. Yeshua, the son of Gamla. Says because if not for him, the entire Torah would be forgotten amongst the Jewish people. Why? Because at first, fathers would teach their sons. Unfortunately, a son who didn't have a father, or a father couldn't teach him, or a father wasn't present, he wouldn't study Torah. And why is that? Because they read the verse that we say in Shema every day, in the V'hoyam Shema, in the second paragraph, where it says, V'limadetem oisam es benechem. So they read, V'limadetem atem es benechem. You should teach your children. If there is no one else to teach, if it's not my child, I'm not obligated to do it. So then the Talmud says, when they saw that this is becoming an issue that many children don't have their fathers present to teach them Torah, so at first they established that in Jerusalem, everybody was able to come and study Torah. But this again wasn't good enough because not everybody was able to come to Jerusalem. And therefore came Yeshua ben Gamla, as the Gemara says. Yeshua ben Gamla came Ad sheba Yeshua ben Gamla v'tiken, he established sheyemeshivim melamdei tenoikes b'chol medina, in every country, in every city. And as an early age already, as the age of 6 and 7, they would make sure that every child should go to a school and learn proper education. So this is when really school system started. But one asks a question. Why saying that if not for him the Torah would be forgotten? Not everybody would study Torah, but the Torah would still be remembered because the fathers would still teach their children, or in those who came to Jerusalem they would study. So what is the Talmud telling us over here? Before I give you the answer on this, let me tell you another interesting Gemara. This is in Ketubas, the Gemara Kesubas. When the Gemara speaks over there about Rab Chia, and the Gemara says, Kama gedolim ma'aseh. How wonderful, how great are the actions of Chia. Who was Chia, first of all? Chia was a student. Rab Chia was one of the main students of Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, the one who compiled the Mishnah. So the Gemara tells a story in the Gemara Kesubas that Rab Chia said, I am working to ensure that the Torah should not be forgotten from the Jewish people. Why? I bring flax, I plant it, and then I weave nets from the flax. And then I go out and trap the deer. And then I feed the meat of the deer for the orphans. And then I make scrolls from the skin of the deer. And then I write the Torah on those scrolls and I sit down and teach the children. And it says, he teaches even one part, so everybody amongst them, they should be able to learn further. So he says, that's what I do. To preserve, to make sure that the children should study Torah. I go all the way from the beginning to the point of weaving nets to be able to catch the deer, to be able to make the parchment. And the Gemara says, this is his greatness. His greatness is not the fact that he was one of the greatest scholars, but this is his greatness. And I ask, what's the greatness about that? Why was he wasting his time of making nets? Couldn't he buy nets? Couldn't he get somebody else to make the nets? Couldn't he get somebody else to make the parchment? Why was it necessary to take from his time, from his precious time of studying Torah, teaching the Torah, instead of this side preparations for the Netz. So the Rebbe explains the following. Both of those stories are to tell us the importance that to give the opportunity to every Jewish child to be able to study Torah. Not just the elite, not just those who have fathers, not just those who can make it to Jerusalem. And Rabbi Chia says, to me, the education of the children is so important that I'll make sure that I will do all the preparatory work myself. That's what the Torah says. That's what the Talmud tells us. That he didn't worry just about his own children. He worried about every Jewish child to have the opportunity. We're in vacation time. Time now to think about registering the children in the proper, good Jewish school.